Hey everyone, welcome to a new video. I know I haven't made a video in a while, but I've been sick, as you guys may or may not know, and I'm coming back. You guys know it's been, I don't know how long it's been. It's been definitely over 2 weeks that I've been sick and been going through it, but I had enough energy, work up today to make a video, and I wanted to make today's video specifically on a question that I keep receiving, and really I'm just going to be showing the magic of using Redbubble bots. And when I say bots, I'm actually going to be specific about what I'm talking about, because there's 99% of the tools that are out there I do not use. But I'll kind of be sharing what happened to me recently. So as you guys know, while I was sick, just because I am sick, it doesn't mean that I'm not going to work anymore. It doesn't mean that I'm just going to lay down and do nothing. I'm actually going to be working. And while I was working behind the scenes, I had created this new design that was in a new niche, we'll call it that, right? And the niche of the design had about over 1,200 total designs. I think it had like 1,215 designs total, okay? And that was the number of results here. Now, I'm using this tiger page to illustrate what I'm talking about, but that's kind of what it had. And when I posted the design, because it was in a new niche, I really was unsure about how well it would do, right? And you guys may know this because I don't make videos about this too often, but I have said it a few times in the past, is that ever since I finished that year of going really, really hard on Redbubble, where I was maxing out my slots of doing 60 designs a day, and then when they lowered it to 30 designs a day, at that time, obviously, I was working on other platforms. I was going really hard on TeePublic at the time. And not to say that I'm not going hard on there now, but you guys know I'm riding the wave of my past success. So during that period of time, right, when I was creating certain designs and going hard and getting certain results and doing really, really well, I had this belief and I had this thing that I always used to preach to you guys, is double down on your success. So do essentially more of what you're already doing. If you get a sale on something or a sale in a certain niche, don't be afraid to go back to it, create more, etc. And something that I always used to say, and still kind of till today say, is when you have one store, make sure there's one overarching niche for that store. I still stand by that. I don't disagree with that. Now, I'm in a fortunate place now to where if I have a limit of 30 designs, to upload per day, right, as a personal account that I own, across all my accounts, and that's actually the rule of Redbubble, is I can go into different accounts and upload designs for different stores. So for example, if I have store number 1 and I feel like uploading only 4 designs that day, good. If I want to upload on that same day after I already uploaded those 4 designs to another store, another 2 designs, good. I don't have to necessarily upload 30 designs to just one store because I've already done the work. I've already built myself a huge portfolio and I've already put that back end, right? If that makes sense. Well, I was uploading to a new store that I have, and I think I've showcased this store before, where it has like about 60 designs on it, or 68 designs, something like that. And right now it's sitting at 15 sales with no organic, only organic, no promotion, no nothing like that. And I figured, let's turn up the heat. Let's make this store start getting more sales. Like, it's time now. The store, I think, has about 150 total designs now, and I'm going to keep consistently uploading to it on a daily basis, but I do like to upload to other stores as well because of the niche that they're in. So it's coming by relatively slowly. But anyways, so that store, I said, what is the first thing I can do? And the first thing I could do was obviously use the Redbubble Favorite Automator. Now, the Redbubble Favorite Automator is one of the most simplest tools in the bots and app categories. If you guys are familiar with bots and apps, it's a website that provides a lot of print-on-demand type tools for your business. So one of the tools that they came out with a very, very long time ago was the Redbubble Favorite Automator. And the way it works is essentially it helps you get more favorites. I'll leave links in the description to where I spoke about this tool in the past, because I'm not going to do a whole synopsis showing you how to use it, what to do with it, etc. I've already made those videos. But basically what the tool will do for you is it will get you more favorites. And as we all know, there's 3 components to the Redbubble algorithm in terms of success or ranking. The first is obviously keywords. Everybody has to have the right keywords to be indexed in a certain listing. Even if you have the wrong keywords, you're going to still be indexed in certain listings. So for example, if I add the word goat to my design, I'm either going to be on page 1 or I'm going to be on page 4000. But regardless, I'm going to be indexed for the keyword goat. Does that make sense? So as long as the keyword is found in my tags, I'm going to be indexed. And once again, if you need to know more information about that, we have a Redbubble tagging course that can teach you all the information you need around tagging, things like that. So I'll leave that link in the description as well. But that's just a general rule, and pretty much most people know this by now. And we've exposed this many times. This is not something that's crazy or unheard of, right? So the first thing is keyword relevance, right? The second thing is sales. So I can move up higher into the ranking with sales. One of the reasons that I told you guys to use social media marketing in the past, and I still tell you guys till today, and Pinterest is on fire for me right now, so is Instagram, but part of the reason why I speak about that is simply because it creates more sales for you, and I'll explain. When I'm using social media and I create an Instagram post or a Pinterest post or whatever, and those generate sales for me, I'm not going to be naturally ranking on the same page that I used to rank. I'm moving up higher in the ranking. Now, what that begets or what that creates is more sales from the organic algorithm. So, for example, if I have a tiger design, I create my design and I end up on page, let's say 64, and then once I create that design and start promoting it through Pinterest and Instagram and maybe even Twitter, depending on the niche, right? I can take that tiger design and all of a sudden, after getting, let's say, 2 or 3 sales, I can now be on page 4 or page 6 or page 15, as opposed to being on page 64. Does that make sense? Now, the higher I am up in that ranking, I will rank for other keywords as well in my tag list. So obviously, I'm not going to just have one keyword in my tags. I'm not going to add just the keyword tiger. I'm going to add other things as well that may relate to the design. If I'm adding those other tags, I will start ranking higher for those other tags as well. So if I start off ranking at page 64 for the keyword tiger, well, on those other keywords that might be more competitive, or less competitive and more long tail, then I'm not going to rank on page 64 for those keywords. I might start off on page 40, page 20, page 14, page 6, depending on the complexity of those keywords. Now, once I get those sales off-site, so from Instagram, from Pinterest, whatever, the algorithm takes into those sales into account. And now, all of a sudden, I'm not ranking on page 14 anymore. I might be on page 3 or page 2 or even page 1. My point to say all this is that there are certain things that control your ranking in the algorithm. So one of them is sales, one of them is keywords. And what's the third thing? The third thing is favorites. So Redbubble favoriting. And the first move that I made with that small account, guys, it was just simply the first day, right, that I actually turned it on, was Redbubble favorite automation. Now, Redbubble favorite automation, once again, I've made videos on this, so I'll leave those videos in the link in the description. You could even go to my channel and just do a basic search, type in favorite, type in automating, something like that, favorite automating. Videos will come up and you can watch them. My channel has a catalog of those older videos, and I actually ran an experiment and I showed people how you rank higher with it. So the more favorites you have, you do rank higher. This is not a theory. This is pure fact. This is not a theory. Like I said, I ran experiments to prove that that was the case. So anyways, well, because of the magic, and this is what I wanted to point out, because of the magic behind this, right, I turned it on. And of course, what the last photo that I posted, not photo, but the last design that I posted on my Redbubble account was that design that I really wasn't sure that it was going to do well. Like, I wasn't sure 100% it was going to do well. But guess what? That design at 1,200 roughly designs, like, once again, 1,215 designs, it started off on page 3, and it was at the bottom of page 3. But literally, like 10 hours, 12 hours later, I had about maybe 15 favorites on that one design. And because I had those 15 favorites on that one design, I searched it again, incognito tab, new IP address, new everything. And for the same keywords, I had now moved up significantly. In fact, the most competitive keyword, where I was on page 3, which was the ideal keyword, where I was once again on page 3 at the bottom for, I had now moved up to page 1, at the 14th row. So to put things into perspective, this is row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, row 6, row 7, row 8, row 9, row 10, row 11, row 12, row 13, row 14. So row 14 is somewhere a little bit past halfway of the page. I'm not saying that it's bad or it's good, but actually it is really good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's tremendous, but you see the growth from there. Now, some people might say, well, how can I make sure that I move up 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 pages a day? Well, the answer is you kind of can't, depending on the situation. This is why. The keywords that I had selected for that niche were extremely low competition. For a niche to have only 1,200 designs is really not much. Now, to me, I'm not looking at that niche like it's, going to make me a ton of money. And I've spoken to you guys about this before, and I've been honest about this, is that every single design I create, I'm not looking for it to make me $100 a month, $50, $75 a month organically. I'm not looking for that. Organically, I'm looking for it to do its due, meaning any kind of sales that it generates is a blessing. It's great. And I look at it like catalog-based income, passive income. I'm building up my catalog, and if it sells a year down the line, great. If it sells a month down the line, great. But that's organic. Once again, I'm not promoting it through social media. Designs that I promote through social media, I'm expecting them to make multiple sales each and every week, and not even multiple, but many, like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, depending on the niche, depending on the category, depending on what I'm selling, because I'm using social media to make that happen, i.e. Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter. You guys know the deal. So I've spoken about this before. But the point, what I'm trying to say is that was a very rare circumstance that caused me to make this video, is where I went from the back of the third page all the way to the halfway point of the first page for a somewhat not really competitive market. And once again, for some people, it might not be a big deal, but to me it is, because you have to realize, for me, guys, when I'm competing in certain categories, growth doesn't come usually that fast. Now, once again, it's because of the nature of the keywords and the other components of the algorithm. What are the other components? The other components are the sales, right? And the other components are the keywords. So my perfect, I guess you could say, combination of keywords allowed me to that when I received the favorites, I was deemed more relevant by the default Redbubble algorithm. And what is that Redbubble algorithm? It's simple. It's the most relevant algorithm right here. Remember, when people search for something on Redbubble, right, there's 4 different categories that people can select: trending, best-selling, newest, and most relevant. But default, most relevant already shows up, meaning it's already selected. So as a customer, most of the time, you're not going to be playing around with this, especially if you're a first-time customer, and more importantly, especially if you're just looking to see what the results are going to be spit at. And when I say this all the time with the utmost confidence, because I've created thousands, tens of thousands of designs. The designs at the top make more money than the designs at the bottom. i.e., a design on the first page is probably going to make more money for any given keyword than a design at the 4th page or the 5th page or the 10th page. And we all know this inherently. Like, nobody can really argue with this, because at the end of the day, your whole goal is to get higher up in the ranking. It's the same way for Google. It's the same way for YouTube. It's the same way for any business. It's the same way for anything. If you want to get noticed, you have to be seen. And if you want to be seen, then that could be a vector to making money, which is why I say, like I said, social media is super powerful. If I create a design and I start promoting it through social media and I create an audience and that audience buys that product, well, now I'm not going to be on the 10th page or the 20th page anymore. I could be on the 1st page, the 2nd page. And when people start looking for that design, and they're not necessarily looking for my design, but they're looking for designs in that niche, they're going to come across designs that happen to be one of them mine, that I have ownership over. And when they purchase mine, because I've done the hard work to get mine to the top of the ranking, I'm generating more sales relatively passively. Does that make sense? Because that social media was just simply rocket fuel to get the rocket up in the atmosphere. Once it's in the atmosphere, then the work is going to carry itself, which is effectively the snowball effect, which is, I made a video on this before, but it works like a snowball. In the beginning, you have to push that snowball to get to that inflection point of the hill. Once it reaches a certain point, that snowball is going to push itself and continue to grow as it pushes itself. Does that make sense? So that's essentially what I did here. Now, the bots and apps tool, like the software, they say that what you really should expect is position of growth 10% month over month over month, which is why it's very important to use this for a very prolonged period of time, because that's when you will see the addition of the results. But let's say, for example, you're on page 5, right, at the bottom, and you go after a month later, right, in a competitive keyword, you end up on page 5, halfway through the page. Is that going to create a huge difference in sales for you? No. And the reason why is because you haven't given it enough time to grow. But like I said, the reason why I'm making this video is because I came across a rarity that doesn't usually happen, which is going from the 3rd page, and in a matter of 10 hours, 12 hours, whatever the number was, basically overnight, throughout halfway through the day, I was not on the 3rd page anymore at the bottom. I was on the 1st page, somewhat halfway through the middle, which once again was inspiring to me to make this video and to remind you guys of it. I think the last time I've spoken about the Redbubble favorite automator and created like a dedicated video was maybe about 1.5 years ago, maybe even more, maybe less. But I think about that range, and this tool has consecutively made me more income. Now, when I say that, a lot of people get confused. They think that you're going to apply something and then you're going to make $10,000, $20,000 a month. And I think part of the reason why they think that is because of maybe past internet videos they've seen, or maybe things that they believe. The reality is, guys, is that every tool I'm using is going to give me 1 inch closer to get where I want to be. And where I want to be is simple. I want to make passive income. But the thing that can help me the most is my skill. Does that make sense? So my skill is the navigator, and the tools are the engines behind it. If I'm the navigator and I navigate my ship to go in the opposite direction, I could eventually reach the same goal or the same point of interest, but it will take me much, much longer. So one of the things that I'm going to make a video on in the future is I had a request by multiple people, not just one person, but basically to the effect of asking me, if you had to start all over again, what would you do? The first thing you have to do, and once again, I'll make a video on this probably tomorrow or something like that, but the first thing you have to do is you have to analyze the navigation system, which is yourself. You have to look at yourself first, ask yourself, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing right? And then the tools are just the addition to it. And my best example for this is using a drill, for example, right? If I'm a carpenter and I have a drill and I have a saw and I have all these great power tools, but I really don't have any knowledge or experience or really know-how on what to do, how to do it, or what I'm doing, I'm not going to do anything proper. Everything is going to come out wrong. Now, does that make the tool a negative thing? Well, in my vision, it might, but the reality is the tool is the tool. The tool is an inanimate object that is not positive nor negative. I give light to either it's positive or negative by my actions. So in the face of that, guys, there was a situation, like I said, just recently where that design went from the 3rd page to the 1st page. And it wasn't because of necessarily the tool. The tool didn't always do that. It was my choice behind the right keywords, the right design, the right things that can cause that design to go from page 3 to page 1. The tool is just the little engine behind it. Does that make sense? But 75% of the work was my behavior. So for example, if I'm using, for example, an Instagram bot, let's just use an Instagram bot, for instance. Where's the Instagram bots here? Follow and follow automator, okay? I can use this tool to grow my Instagram following. But depending on whose hands it is in, somebody can make 100 followers a day, somebody else can make 40 followers a day, somebody else can make 10 followers a day. It all depends on the individual, right? Who's controlling the tool. Same thing like a car or a gun, right? The gun is not a scary object. It depends who's holding that gun that causes the problems. Same thing as a vehicle. You can drive to work every day, right? Or you can end up running somebody over and killing them. So at the end of the day, guys, the tools are very, very useful. And this just happens to be a story that I wanted to share with you guys, not only for inspiration, but maybe for you guys to think creatively, think outside the box. So I'll be making videos in the future. Sorry I was away for a while. It was not because I wanted to. I was extremely sick, but I'm back here, back now, and getting better, and hopefully I'll be able to make more videos, all right? I'll see you guys soon. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this video helped out. I'll leave all the resource links to different Redbubble stuff in the description box down below. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for watching. Peace out. Bye.